The story opens on a massive ancient tree, home to a thriving kingdom of monkeys, all living together in harmony. Today was a special day. The king's child was about to be born. The king's advisor, Vladimir, rushes out and tells him there's a problem. He leads the king inside, where the newborn lies with his mother, gently sucking her finger. The king lifts the baby, smiling proudly. The child is strong, healthy, and full of life. You will one day become the next king, naming him Vanya the First. But then Vladimir reveals another baby, a second child, weak, tiny, and clearly struggling. Confused, the king asks whose child this is. Vladimir explains, "You have given birth to 2 children, and this one is the firstborn. By tradition, he will be the future king." The king looks at the frail newborn with disappointment. Before he can speak, their assistant monkey witch steps forward and says, "This one isn't like us. A mistake of nature. He will not survive, and the tribe will never accept him as king. We must get rid of him." The king, holding both babies, hesitates. The strong one is perfect for the throne, but the weak one, tiny, fragile, trembling. With the queen still asleep, the king reluctantly hands the weak infant to Vladimir. His order is clear. Vladimir takes the newborn outside to feed him to a wolf. He tries to drop the baby, but the tiny creature clings tightly to his hand. That innocent grip softens him. For a moment, Vladimir feels compassion, but the king's voice echoes from inside. Startled, Vladimir loses his grip, and the baby falls right toward the wolf's open jaws. At the very last second, a brave monkey named Ian leaps in and rescues him. Ian tries to walk away, but the baby cries. Weak, hurt from the fall, and unable to move properly because one of his arms is injured. Moved by pity, Ian sets him on a branch, but the baby climbs onto his back, refusing to leave him. Slowly, through pure innocence and mischief, the baby wins Ian's heart. Ian begins caring for him like his own son. Years pass, the baby grows up, and Ian names him Edward. We see them playing together, living in their little home. Edward, brilliant and inventive, drinks water using one of his own clever creations. He's even built a fan to cool their place. Edward's mind is sharp. One day, he notices the figs he hid for later are gone. Ian insists Edward must have eaten them himself, but then Edward spots a mouse running off with the figs. He tries to catch it, but keeps falling because of his weak arm. Watching this, Ian gets an idea. He peels a plant stem, blows into it, and creates a sticky substance, a natural glue to make a trap for the mouse. Just then, drums echo through the forest. Edward lights up immediately. It's the opening signal of the Cocoa Ball Games, the monkeys' biggest tournament. Edward begs Ian to take him to watch, but Ian refuses. He was banished from the tribe years ago. Everyone thinks he's crazy. If they see us there, Ian says, they'll beat us. Edward insists, then you show them your angry side. Don't be scared. Still, Ian won't go, so Edward threatens, if you don't come with me, I'll jump. Because of his injured arm, he can't climb back up on his own. Ian ignores him for a second, and Edward actually jumps. Ian panics and leaps down to save him, and so the two sneak into the king's territory, hiding in the shadows, watching the Cocoa Ball match from afar. Vanya, the king's son, is also playing in the Cocoa Ball match. He's already grown big and powerful, scoring goal after goal with ease. The crowd cheers wildly. Even the king beams with pride. Ian, watching from the shadows, gets drawn toward the ball. Edward quickly reminds him, we can't go out there. They'll see us. But the ball rolls too close. Ian loses control and leaps to grab it, and both he and Edward tumble down with the ball flying toward a stone crack and getting stuck. The whole arena goes silent. The monkeys turn furious. Their ball is lost. They surround Ian, shouting, blaming him, even striking him for ruining their game. Seeing Ian in trouble, Edward quickly grabs a stick, reaches into the crack, and pops the ball back out. The entire crowd gasps. How did this strange boy do that? Edward proudly explains, I used a special sticky substance made from a plant stem. It can grip anything. Vanya approaches, lifts Edward up, and thanks him for saving the ball. Excited, Edward says, I have an idea to make Cocoa Ball even better. We can build a real field. But Vanya cuts him off. Rules never change here. Meanwhile, Witch and Vladimir notice something alarming. One of Edward's toes is shorter than the rest. It's the same mark the king's firstborn had. They instantly realize the truth. Edward is the real heir, the child they were supposed to eliminate. Fear hits them. If the king finds out, they'll be punished for disobeying him. Suddenly, because of the sticky glue, the ball sticks to Vanya's hand. All the monkeys panic and try pulling it off. Ian and Edward use the distraction to quietly slip away. Eventually, a monkey named Sergey manages to yank the ball free, landing squarely on the king's head and sticking there. Vladimir pulls the ball off, along with all the king's hair. The king is furious. Vladimir quickly points at Sergey. I didn't do it. It was him. He pleads, Your Majesty, believe me. It wasn't my fault. It was Edward. The king's eyes narrow. Find this Edward and bring him to me. Ian points at a bird in flight. She's heading toward the White Mountain. The birds told me. Edward shakes his head. This is why everyone calls Ian crazy. Even Edward sometimes doubts him. At that moment, Sergey arrives. The king wants to see you. Edward is thrilled, but Ian gets scared and hides. So Edward goes alone with Sergey. Inside the royal court, Edward stands before the king. The king, unaware he is speaking to his own son, asks, "Who are you?" Edward introduces himself and explains, "You don't know me because I live in the north. Only Ian and I live there, no one else." Ian quietly sneaks in too, worried for Edward. Edward smiles and says, "It's an honor to meet you, your majesty." The king looks at Edward and says, "I've heard you can perform magic." Edward smiles politely. "There's no such thing as magic, your majesty." Witch doesn't like that. She knows magic and hates being contradicted. She starts to protest, but the king silences her. He asks Edward about the glue. Edward explains, "It's an invention, something anyone can make." He asks Ian for a lotus leaf. Using tree leaves and the sticky gel, Edward crafts a beautiful crown for the king. The king is delighted. Everyone admires the crown, except Vanya, who secretly signals Witch. He already knows Edward is his brother, and he wants him gone. Witch steps away to carry out the plan. Meanwhile, Edward pours water over the lotus leaf, turning it into a shiny mirror. He shows the king his reflection. The king jumps in fear, seeing his own face for the first time. "Don't be afraid, your majesty," Edward says gently. "That's your reflection in the water." The king laughs in amazement. Edward then uses vines to build a high throne. When the king sits on it, he can see far, his entire kingdom spread out before him. Edward rocks the throne playfully like a swing. Meanwhile, Witch begins chanting her dark spells. She summons a swarm of grasshoppers, commanding them to attack Edward. The insects storm the area. Monkeys panic. In the chaos, Edward slips and accidentally pushes the king off the ledge. The king crashes onto a rocky platform below. Everyone gasps. Witch immediately shouts, "Edward did it. He killed the king." Vanya seizes the moment. Following his plan, he shoves Edward off the cliff. Just then, the king slowly climbs back up, bruised but alive. He hears what happened and confronts Vanya. "Why would you do that?" Vanya replies, "He was trying to kill you. I had to stop him." The king growls, "No monkey kills another monkey. That is our law." Vanya smirks, "Are you sure? Have you never ordered a monkey killed?" The king freezes. His eyes drift toward Vladimir, suspecting him of revealing the truth. Vanya turns and walks away. Later, a baby monkey named Diego whispers to his mother, "Will Edward never come back?" His mother sadly answers, "No one survives the fall from the family tree." The king too is heartbroken. Below the giant tree, Edward lies injured from the fall, barely able to stand. Ian appears at the edge of the tree, wanting to help, but he's terrified. All monkeys believe the family tree is sacred, and leaving it brings divine punishment. Seeing Ian frozen in fear, refusing to climb down, Edward slowly limps away on his own. He discovers two ostrich-like birds. Starving, he begs them for fruit. They panic and back away. And as Edward steps forward, he rises onto his 2 feet for the first time. He can stand. He can walk. He beams with joy. He's invented a whole new way of moving. He moves through the vast land, amazed by all the animals around him. But suddenly wolves appear, a whole pack closing in. Edward runs for his life with the ostriches, the wolves chasing behind. Monkeys watching from the tree stare in shock. Edward is running on 2 legs. He sprints through a herd of rhinos. Startled by the wolves, the rhinos stampede after Edward too. Edward accidentally leads the entire herd straight toward the family tree. The rhinos attack the trunk fiercely. The entire tribe screams. Then, the king appears. He leaps into the chaos, using all his strength to stop the rhinos. But one enormous rhino charges toward Edward. The king throws himself in front of the attack to save him. The king collapses, gravely injured. He looks at Edward with remorse in his eyes. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You are my son, and I never told you." With those final words, the king takes his last breath. Vanya looks straight at Edward and says, "Father went crazy. You're not my brother." He shoves Edward away and carries his father's body back to the tribe. Edward is devastated. The king, the one who just died saving him, was his father. With the king gone, Vanya is crowned the new ruler. Vladimir flatters him non-stop. "You are a great king, far greater than your father ever was." But Vanya snaps, "You were supposed to kill my brother, and you failed." He strips Vladimir of his title on the spot. Vladimir's cousin Sergei is thrilled. He becomes the new advisor. Meanwhile, Edward and Ian reach the ground below the tree. Suddenly, the sky roars open. A massive tornado forms, pulling everything into its spinning mouth. Monkeys scramble into their homes for shelter, but no one lets Vladimir in. Desperate, he grabs Witch's hand. She coldly lets go. Vladimir is sucked straight into the tornado. Down below, Edward runs for his life, but the tornado pulls him in too. Inside, he sees animals swirling everywhere, and even a family of monkeys trapped in the storm. Among them is a young female monkey, Lucy. Edward sees her and instantly feels something. He reaches toward her, but the storm rips them apart, throwing Edward downward again. He crashes onto a tree branch. Lucy falls toward the cliffs. Edward quickly ties a vine around a trunk and dives, grabbing Lucy just in time. But the two of them dangle over the abyss as the vine begins to snap. They plummet, and Ian swoops in, catching them at the last second. Edward gives him a thumbs up. Ian tries to copy it and accidentally flings himself backwards. The storm fades. The sky clears. Edward helps Lucy regain consciousness, but she wakes up terrified and aggressive. She attacks Edward, thinking he's a threat. "I saved you," he tries to explain, but Lucy is heartbroken. She's lost her entire family. She bites him and runs away. Ian returns to Edward's side, but Edward is now drawn to Lucy, and he goes after her. For days, they chase each other through forests and mountains. Edward climbs cliffs with one arm, struggling but determined. Finally, he catches up. Lucy tells him her name. Edward yells, "I followed you for a whole week. I left my best friend for you." She sniffs him and finally realizes he's trustworthy. Now she tries to walk like him, on two legs. Edward shows her how. They sit together under the sky. Edward points far away and says, "I used to live in that huge tree, and I'll take you there." They begin their journey. Along the way, Edward proudly says, "Everyone will love you. I'm the king's brother." Crossing a field of lava rocks, Edward picks up a stick that catches fire. At first, the flame scares him. He burns his hand touching it, but then he sees the light it makes. Fire becomes their guide through the dark. Witch sees the glow from afar and panics. Edward is returning with fire. The tribe gathers, terrified. Edward approaches proudly with Lucy by his side. Monkeys cheer in wonder, but not Vania. He yells, "Why did you bring fire here? We fear fire." Edward answers, "Fire is my friend. It lets us see in the dark." But he accidentally drops the burning stick, scorching a small plant. The monkeys scream. Witch shouts, "Edward brought the storm. Edward brings danger." They begin throwing stones. Sergei grabs Lucy and strikes her. Edward and Lucy flee into the wilderness. Vania smirks, pleased. Far away, Lucy cries, "You said your family would love us, but they attacked us. Where do we go now?" Edward thinks hard and then gets an idea. They head to the wolves' cave. Edward waves the fire stick, and the wolves scatter in fear, leaving the cave empty. Lucy looks around the cave and smiles. It's huge, warm, and safe, a real home. And now she's fallen for Edward too. She leans in and kisses him. Up in the tree, the monkeys gasp. They're all secretly watching. At first, Edward can barely throw a pebble a few feet, but with Lucy's help, he slowly gets better. By nightfall, they've gathered piles of food. The monkeys watching from the tree feel tempted. Maybe life on the ground isn't so bad after all. Edward and Lucy also learn how to make fire using stones and wood. One afternoon, Edward tries hunting an animal. Suddenly, a flying dinosaur swoops down and snatches him. Lucy screams and leaps, attacking the creature mid-air, bringing it crashing to the ground. Edward survives and even tames a wolf as his pet. That night, Lucy begins eating her prey raw. Edward cringes. He tosses the meat into the fire. It sizzles, and the smell fills the forest. The aroma reaches all the way to the tree, tempting the monkeys. Just then, a mysterious voice echoes from the branches. "Do not leave the tree." The monkeys tremble, but little Diego follows the sound and discovers Witch hiding, creating the spirit voice to scare everyone into staying. Witch attacks him, but the other monkeys rush in and rescue the boy. Finally, the whole tribe decides to climb down to join Edward. One by one, they leave the tree behind. Only Vanya and his queen Gudrella remain. Vanya is furious. His entire tribe abandoned him. Lucy refuses, furious because these same monkeys once hurt her. She drives them away, but the tribe pleads, "Edward, we are your family. We were all born in the same tree." Edward's heart softens. He convinces Lucy to let them stay. That night, as they sleep together, Edward steps on a monkey's foot, making a loud sound. The others copy it, hitting sticks, stones, anything they can find, and soon the whole camp is filled with rhythm and music. Vania watches from the tree, jealous and alone. Years pass. The tribe evolves. They build huts, tools, a whole village. Lucy is now pregnant. Edward feels proud, excited. His family, his people, are growing. He steps outside and sees everyone laughing, working, celebrating. He watches young Diego draw a mammoth on a rock, the first artwork of their kind. Edward beams with pride, but then he sees Sergei bullying two young monkeys. Edward steps in to stop him. Meanwhile, Witch awakens her swarm of grasshoppers, her army. She sends them to destroy Edward's growing village. They descend like a dark storm, tearing down wooden homes, eating their supplies, burning everything to ash. Nothing is left. The tribe is heartbroken. Sergei immediately spreads lies. This is Vania's doing. He wants us all dead. The crowd rages. Edward tries to stop them, but no one listens. Sergei leads the furious tribe to kill Vania. Edward rushes ahead with his wolf, reaching the tree first. He shouts upward, "Vania, Sergei is coming to kill you," but Vania refuses to climb down. The mob arrives, angry, shouting, ready to attack. Vania finally descends from the branches, face to face with his furious tribe. Sergei steps forward and shouts at Vania, "You sent those grasshoppers. You destroyed our village. We won't spare you." Furious, the monkeys begin chopping at the roots of the family tree, planning to bring it down and take Vania's home away too. Seeing this, Vania finally snaps. He charges at them with a roar. He knocks monkeys aside one after another, fighting with raw strength. The tribe panics and attacks him together. Edward tries to stop the violence, but he's thrown aside. Flames spread up the giant tree. The battle becomes chaos. The monkeys overpower Vania and pin him down. Sergei raises a weapon and begins beating him, but Vania explodes with strength and breaks free, slamming Sergei to the ground. Edward suddenly spots Queen Gudula trapped high up in the burning branches. Without thinking, he climbs through the flames and rescues her, carrying her to safety far from danger. But as he runs back, a heavy burning branch crashes onto him, pinning him under it. The fire grows. The monkeys flee. Edward calls out desperately, "Vania, help me." And just then, the tree explodes, sending shockwaves through the forest. Witch is caught in the blast and perishes in the fire. But Vania pulls Edward out just in time and drags him to safety. Everything around them is ash. The sacred family tree, their ancestors' home, is gone. Vanya collapses in grief. Edward whispers, "This is all my fault." Vanya wipes his tears. "No, none of this was your fault. I was blinded by power. That's why I wanted you gone." Edward turns to him, confused. "Then why did you save me?" Vanya slowly rises and stands tall on two legs, just like Edward. "Because you're my brother." The two embrace, finally united. Soon the rest of the tribe arrives. Lucy sees Edward alive and runs into his arms, crying with relief. Sergei trembles and says, "We have nothing left, only desert everywhere. We won't survive." Panic spreads. Edward tries to calm them, but no one listens. Then he notices birds flying toward the distant mountains. Vanya helps silence the crowd. "I know a place where everyone will have trees, waterfalls, fruit, life." Hope spreads across the tribe. They follow the birds toward the white mountain Ian once spoke of. They travel for days, through dust storms, cliffs, and endless sand, until one day they pass through a glowing curtain of light, and beyond it, a paradise. A world full of green valleys, shining lakes, tall trees, and endless life. The tribe cheers in amazement. They found a new home. Ian appears beside Edward, smiling. Edward rushes to him and hugs him tightly. His friend, his father figure, his family. Together, they step into their new beginning. If this story touched your heart even a little, hit like, share this recap with someone who loves animated adventures, and I'll see you in the next one.